Hello and welcome to the Flooring Model Show. Here we are with you on the 29th of April, live across the UK. So, southwest, over to the east, and then northwest-ish. Well, I suppose not really. More west. What is your area, Nathan?
Like officially the northwest.
Yes.
But I'll cut the bottom of it.
It's like Midlands up a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think of the Wirral if you're up north that way, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, there we go. Glad to see you all with us as always in the old live chat and everything else. Trust we're all doing very well. So yes, good job. So Nate, what have you been up to this week? Anything exciting?
Not a lot. I've had a cold, but I have built the Meng. Not a lot. I've built the Meng 72 Fiat G91. Because everybody got excited about the 48th one that's not out for another year now. I thought, I'll build that one. And it's all right. It's just ready. I sort of thrown it together, got it ready for spraying. Just as a little sort of little sideline before I get into the Anzac build.
Very good. And how's it gone together? Because I must admit, I reviewed that kit many years ago when it first came out, but never built it.
The fit is good. The one thing that's been annoying the hell out of me is all the screw attachment points are on the mating surface. So every part needs clean up to get it to fit. But so the fit is good, but you have to work to get a good fit. But it's very Hasegawa-esque plastic. It's nice.
The hard stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but it looks the part. I think it's okay. It's just a little sort of mojo. Well, not like mojo's broken, but that's the sort of approach I'm taking, is just whack it together and paint it sort of mode. Yeah.
Very nice. Very cool. And Andy, what have you been up to? Well, apart from working hard at PM, clearly.
Little Arado.
Looking the part now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting there. It's sort of almost done. Apart from I made a bit of a mess up with my flat coat this evening and rubbing it down. I've blown through a bit of the wing here, but I've got some pre-mixed of my post shading colour, so
quick little blowing, weathering.
Yeah, blowing.
That's what it is. Happy little accident.
Yeah. Well, if you do see it, it'll be a repair job, like you say.
Yeah, that's it. Very nice. So anyway, you used on that one, because we were talking before, the actual extra acrylics flat. What made you go for that idea?
It was quick and easy.
Oh.
I don't know. It was there, and I just picked it up and went for it. But my wife called me down for dinner as I was halfway through it, so I just quickly went over it. And I find with extra acrylics, because it's basically water based, if you do put it on too thick, it beads up. It did bead up on me, but I thought it'll be alright. When I come back to it, if it hadn't, it left little marks on it. So
nice.
I use a bit of a scourer pad, automated scourer pad, very, very fine for rubbing down, and I use that. But this is a brand new piece, and I think I went in a bit too hard with it.
Bit vigorous on that one.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
Very nice, cool, very good. Up with you today went a little review that I did earlier on over the weekend actually. This is the McLaren, which is a story to this. I've reviewed it twice now, because I must have accidentally deleted it before it actually made it onto the server and all the rest of it. So anyway, we've done another one of it, and it's up again as well. Great kit, to be honest. Like I say in the review, if you are a Formula One fan, things like that, or definitely a McLaren fan, it's a gorgeous little kit. Very, very nicely done. Typical new. Really, really straightforward. No problems with the build, I wouldn't have thought, and very nice indeed. And I must get round to building a new kit, because I've never built one.
Can I just say that when we originally sent Phil, that was the initial lot we had in. We've since had a few more in, but because Phil was on the review now, they've now sold out. So if anybody does want one, if they just put the name down, when you go onto the system, if you click buy now and it's not in stock, it'll actually put your email address in.
Yes.
And we'll send you notification when it's back in stock. if you just put your name down that, we're going to try and get some more in. But it also, if it all gives us an idea of how many people want them. But just put your name down, and we'll try and get hold of some more stock and get them in.
Very nice. Yes, cool. But anyway, very nice kit. And that one is up with you at the moment. So that one's going well. As far as I'm concerned, I've been on with the Zero, which is coming together very, very nicely down in here. To be honest, I just made a bit of a faux pas before we came on, so we had to clamp it up. But we've got it all coming together. Again, it's quite nice working with Tamiya because it is pretty much idiot-proof. So yes, again, it's one of these ones where it's quite mechanical because it's got working gear and everything. But is it? I don't know. The point about this thing, it's got the system where you put the sockets in, a bit like on the Mustang, so you can actually have the gear retracting and open. It's not like, some of them where it's like plug-in fits and stuff. Again, it's one of those where I often think it's not going to last 5 minutes, let's face it. So yes, no, it's all very nice, coming together very, very nicely. As I say, I'm waiting for the cockpit set to rack up, so we've sort of moved on directly to the wings and that, but the back end's all in there and everything else like that. So the wing section's all in. Nice size. Look, cutting mat size modelling again. So anyway, that one's coming along very, very nicely. So I'll get the engine done tomorrow. Let's make our way through and then hopefully get it set. Go on.
Can I also say, no comments that if you think it's the wrong colour of greeny colour, it's Phil's kit. It's Phil's kit.
Hey.
He does what he wants.
Wait till you see part 1. I've got a disclaimer on that. It's that I don't care. To be honest, I think it looks quite good. Having seen one of these in reality, I don't know, Nathan, did you see you were over in that part of the world? Did you see Zeros? Did you take note of the blue colour in the wheel wells and everything?
Not really.
No, nor did I really, but
bluey, greeny, bluey, whatever colour you like, I reckon, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. So anyway, we went with that. But you don't see any of it. That's the whole point. I don't know why people get wrapped up in this. By the time this is all together, do you see any of it? No, do you? Well, once the cockpit's all in there and everything else, and the engine is, let's face it, you're not going to see it. So it doesn't make a difference. It's only the wheel wells. And like we always said, no one looks in them anyway, especially if it's in flight with the gear up. So that'll be the end of that little discussion on that one. But no, it's typical Tamiya. Even though it is an older Tamiya kit, it goes together very, very nicely. And it pretty much is idiot proof. Although with this one, it has got a few little ejector pins and stuff and else like that, which do need a little bit of work, shall we say, to get them out. Horrible places, flaps, like why? But there you go. We'll let them off because this kit is a few years old now. It's one of their first 32nd ones of the new ones, isn't it? So anyway, it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, part 1 of that will be up with you tomorrow. It's done, it's up, it's on the servers and everything. So you can catch up with that one. And so I'm going to be pushing forth with this one. And then hopefully by next week, we'll be into the paintwork on that one. So cockpit might turn up tomorrow with any luck. Hopefully. Did he go out yesterday?
Yeah, he did, yeah, on 24 hours. So yeah, should definitely be with you.
So yes. Good job on that one. Anyway, shall we have a look round at some notable mentions this week? Because we've got a few good ones in here. So anyway, here's a little bit of a highlight from this week that have been picked out. Nathan's picked a lot of these.
Yeah.
Yes.
This one's absolutely stunning, isn't it? Very, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear the.
I always get the Das Boat theme tune running through my head every time I see this.
I thought it's nicely weathered. Isn't it?
Again, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where it's really heavy weathering, but it just works absolutely 100% because they were pretty, manky, especially after a patrol. And so it would be pretty much rusty and all the rest of it that goes through. Maritime stuff always is. But I like the sort of the light work on these, of obviously highlighting the panel lines in the lighter colour. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice. All that raised detail working along with all the recessed. So, yes.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Nice ripply flag.
Yeah. Ticks all the boxes. That's what you're aiming for when you build a U-boat, that, isn't it?
Definitely.
Oh, crikey.
Crikey. Wow. There's a different era. So, yes. Very, very nice indeed. Cool job on that one, I must admit. I prefer the U96 over the Seawolf. Although the Seawolf's very nice, don't get me wrong. But again, it's that thing with the older stuff, you give it rust and those types of heavy weathering. Obviously, the modern stuff, having those acoustic coatings that they get and everything, don't have rusty streaks down them. Or if they do, they're in trouble. So, very nice.
That's Thomas that built that, isn't it?
Yes, good job on that one, Thomas. Beautiful work. Very, very nice. Love the weathering, love the pictures as well. Because again, it's not easy trying to photograph ships because by their nature, they're just long and skinny things. So trying to get them all in shot and everything else like that, I know what a pain that is to try and do. But it's nice to see we've got nice overall shots of it so we can look down the lovely lines of the sub as well. So good job on that one. Okay, next up, we've got on the old maritime theme going, because obviously we'll speak about this in a minute, a nice gun section. So this is from Peter, and this is the Combat Place 1970 gun deck, 1 to 23rd scale.
Yeah, this is just ticks a load of boxes. Like, I never even knew there was a kit like this. But the wood effect is really good.
Yes.
Really well put together as well. The detail is amazing. Start really looking, you've got all the bags and stuff.
Yeah. Again, it's that thing, isn't it? It's all the different mediums you got in there, which are normally a nightmare to work with, like wood, and that type of effect of like oiled wood and sort of those types of things as well, to get them to look natural and right. But again, beautiful interior to it. The guns as well, looking fantastic. The rope work, all the various bits and pieces, to say the bags, the hangy bits. Yeah, there's a lot going on in there. It's like a real full-on diorama.
Brilliant, and it's just that's the best thing about this high seas SIG is it's brought out some really, really different builds. Isn't it?
Definitely.
The
modern fire extinguishers.
That bit that goes between the planks, I don't know what it's called. The other thing with to seal them to stop them leaking. I think that's really.
Oh, the corking.
That's the one, yeah. The corking and the panelling. It looks pretty. No.
Has it got modern fire extinguishers there, or
what, those ones? It does look like them, I must admit, but is it? Because there's one there. Look, I think it's not. I think it's isn't that the gunpowder thing?
I don't know. You wouldn't want to get a fire extinguisher and one of them mixed up, would you?
No, but I think isn't that the gunpowder things are kept in there. And then obviously, into the gun and all the rest of it, because obviously that's for washing down the guns and keeping them cool, isn't it? So chuck buckets over them. So
beautiful, though, isn't it?
It is. Very, very. My old man would have been proud of that because he loves all that type of thing, or did, bless him. So he was massively into galleons and that battles. He was a bit of an amateur historian on that side of things. But
you just want to keep looking at the pictures, don't you? There's so much there.
Again, like we always say, a good sort of diorama or a diorette, things like that, is one of those things where every time you look at it, you see something new. So, like all the parts up here and the bits, you've got the corkscrew, I can't remember, it's got a special name, that tool, but I can't remember what it's called now, for actually cleaning them out. It hooks on, doesn't it, to any bits of fabric that are down in the barrels and everything and pulls them out left after the shot. So... yes,
it's the worst place to be.
I was going to say, the only thing is that as wonderful as that is, that's the last place on earth you want to be.
Yeah.
As you say, everyone thinks a cannonball's the problem. It never was it? It was the wood splintering and flying at you that would just shred everybody on the other side. It was the wood that used to do the damage and not the ball, wasn't it? So, yes, very, very, very nice.
I'd have been lying down throwing up in an OC scene.
And that's before you left port.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good job on that one. To say really nice. Again, it's that thing. Obviously, we're doing the C6 SIG or the naval SIG at the moment, and that's perfect for that particular environment. It's nice thinking outside the box with that one. So on Peter, that's beautiful work. Onto the armour side of things, we've got Grant, and he's done a fantastic French light tank. This is the 35th Meng one on a nice little diorette.
Yeah, I thought the groundwork on this, obviously the tank is brilliantly built, but the way it's put on a base with the little details around the edge, sets it off perfectly.
It's nice that because it comes in two versions, doesn't it? It comes either with the interior or the base.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this one with the base, and it is a corking little kit.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice. Again, it's quite nice having the height of the base there, so you can look at it and appreciate it from the lower angles, and you get that sort of sense with it. Trundling along, sat in there, yeah. Another place you probably wouldn't want to be.
No.
world's worst jobs theme
Yes,
tonight.
that's it. Yeah, this week, world's worst
Yeah.
jobs, where you wouldn't want to be. So anyway, great job on that one. That's absolutely beautiful. Bringing us bang up to date, we've got Walter with this is the Zvezda 144 A320.
I think I've just accidentally picked sort of diorama builds.
You have, absolutely. So look, figure painting.
I looked at this one and I thought I'm really desperate to go on holiday as well.
Yeah, is this what you saw? You saw people getting on a plane and thinking, I want to be there.
But this sets it off really nicely. Obviously, it's a scene that's familiar to all of us, isn't it? Getting on a plane, but
yeah,
quality of the finish is superb. But again, it just aircraft dioramas are not that common.
So it's not a scene that most of us have seen for a while, though, is it?
No, that's it. I haven't done that for a while. So one little touch, and I didn't spot it the first time, is all the crew equipment as well. So we've got the little maps and charts. Well, you'd think it would be. It could be a paper for all I know. But yeah, down here in the actual cockpit as well. And obviously on that scale of kit, that's not an easy feat. So beautiful attention to detail. Very, very nice. Again, it's that thing. Doing airliners, I've only done, I don't know, a handful in the last sort of 10 years. But you can't hide anything because they're quite clean in the way they go together. All your scenes have to be perfect because there's no weathering to hide behind, and because of their shape and the way they go together is in hard. You've got long seam lines down the spine, which are going to show up everything, and obviously the wing ones, things around the engine and that. And everyone thinks airliners are quite straightforward to do, and I think they're harder to do than, say, a Spitfire, because you've just got all of this and it's on show. So you're sanding and you're finishing as well before you come into primer. It's got to be absolutely spot on those ones. And again, glasswork fit as well has to be pretty much good because again, it's totally on show, and because of the lines of the actual airliners in general, it's very noticeable if things stand out. So kudos, good job on that. But also, I love the ground equipment. Really, really nice. It's got that nice in scale yellow, as I call it. It's not too bright, which doesn't look right. It just fits very nicely. It's got that slight bit of wear and tear on the tugs and the baggage trucks and stuff like that, So, yeah, generally, very, very nice on that.
RLM04.
It's just I really like the scene. It's
there you go. Give you a sense of scale.
Yeah.
Very, very nice indeed. Good job. Right, up next, one that I spotted. So there's a story to this, and I think David's posted a question somewhere, but I just, because I vaguely read something the other day, and he was saying he had finished it, and then I'd already picked him out for this anyway. But David, when we were in the depths of COVID, put this one together, and he asked us a few different questions about fit and issues and stuff like that, and absolutely nailed it. Love it. So good job. So this is the Airfix 72nd Valiant. Very nice indeed.
Kaboom.
But absolutely nailed it. Again, beautiful one. And also the things I love about this is one, the white effect. It's not too bright. It's not too far off. It's just got that nice look to it, And again, very clean, crisp lines all the way through, like airliners as well. There's nothing to hide behind on this one. Everything's on show, so it's got to be good. Very nice as well. And he's pitched the old Spitfire stand, Airfix Spitfire stand for this one.
Oh, yeah.
But very, very nice job on that right the way through. So a clever way of mounting it up there through the actual bomb. So obviously, and then obviously the conventional bomb load underneath as well. There you go.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Really, really nice finish on that one. So yeah, I think we were being played personally because again, it's pretty seamless, absolutely seamless. Beautiful job. And again, it's not a straightforward aircraft put together. Absolutely nailed it. And also very nice with the cinematic pictures of all our oblivions.
Well.
So yes, good job on that one, everyone. So just whilst we're here, just to put this in perspective, so I forgot to mention it the other day, we were talking about it. Obviously, we've got various group builds and SIGs and things like that have all been on the change recently. So obviously the big one started last weekend was the ANZAC build. So obviously we started that to coincide with Anzac Day. So that one has already started. It just started a little bit earlier and is going to run right the way through till the end of August on that one. So currently already we've got 26 builds down in there at the moment. The big ones obviously we're talking about now is the C6 SIG or the high C SIG. Okay, so this one literally you've got until tomorrow night. Well, I'll lock it probably Saturday morning. All right, so by the time it's gone through all the different time zones, about 9 o'clock Saturday morning, I'll lock that one down. Loads of entries into that one. We've got 183 on the go. We've got 115 finished at the moment. So that one's doing really very, very well indeed. So obviously there's no medals and various bits and pieces for that. That's just basically a good old slap on the back from us and a well done and a video at the end. So it's for that one. But say there's loads of different ones in there. We'll cover perhaps some of that tomorrow, and obviously I'll sort out the videos and all the bits and pieces for it next week. So it'll be ready on the Friday show next week on that one. So again, beautiful work, very, very nicely done on that one. So if you are getting close to finishing, get on with it. You've literally got 24, well, say 36 hours before it gets locked off on that one. So grab your gear and get going on that. And then obviously you've got the Swinging 60s one, which is going to run obviously till 30th of June. So you've still got a bit of time for that one. And then obviously that one will get a medal for everybody who finishes at the end of that one. So far, we've got 206 builds on the go. We've got almost 90 finished off as well, but you've still got a little bit of time on that one. So good going to everybody who's doing those. So yes, good job. You almost got all yours finished. Yours going to be done in time there, Andy?
If I worked all the way through Friday night.
Andy's just going to unlock He's just going to unlock it on the forum. We need to get it in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you could do that. Just go in there and just shove it in at the end. So yes, very good job. But no, don't rush them, as we always say. And obviously one of the questions that does come up a lot, and I always get asked about it, when the group build has finished and the SIG has finished, what we do is, or I do, is just lock the actual reveal section until I've done the video for it and I've got everybody's names and numbers for medals and stuff like that. Then what happens is it gets unlocked once it gets moved to the reveal area. Everybody's build threads, they're always going to be open, and then what happens is I just go along and move those to the relative area or relevant area in the actual forum. So obviously it's prop aircraft, it'll go into prop aircraft, jets into jets and various things right the way through, okay? But it is still open right the way. So somebody asked me the other day about their build, they wanted to carry on with it. Of course you can, you just carry on with it. But don't rush them, don't just make a hash of it to finish it off and get them done in time. Just take your time with them as you make your way through. So yes, that's something to that. Cool. Good job, everyone. So, yes. Sorry, I'm just checking in there. Everybody all right in chat? Are they all good down in there? Very good. Right. Okay. So, over in questions. To start off with, there's a good one. That's the old Flory Models. What? It's not even that. That's a pre-lived bottle of dark dirt. And I was trying to look closely at the label to see exactly when that is, and I've got a feeling that is a 2009 bottle of dark dirt, from what I can tell. It's very, because the label's all slightly changed a little bit, but because it's in this one, it's between 2007 up until 2009, and then the full colour label came in 2009. So that's predecessor to that. So there was another version in front of there as well. And then obviously we changed over and around about in 2010 to Flory Models. In 2009, 2010 into Flory Models. So that's, yes, definitely a very much a blast from the past, that bottle. So anyway, Bennett says, hi Flory team, I'm currently making an inventory of my stash and I'm now onto item number 363. So we were saying earlier, we think you need a hobby. So, because clearly that's obscene. Unless you've got like tons of aftermarket to go with it, you're almost as bad as Andy. How many's in your spreadsheet, Andy?
I've got 300 odd kits. Oh, well, I think how much aftermarket and bits and bobs it adds up to as well.
So yes, it'll probably give you a run for your money.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes, he's found some antique bottles of wash, including dark dirt, under the Pro Modeler name. Do you think you can still use it? You will be able to still use it, but a couple of things to remember. First of all, that's not dark dirt colour as you know it now. The colour got changed in 2010 to the modern dark dirt. So the modern dark dirt is that sort of sepia, well, it's old engine oil, that's the colour we went for on that one. That is the old version, which is more of a dark grey, oily grey colour. So the colour will not be the same as the dark dirt you know. Also, that uses a very old form of the clay. So the chances are it's properly gone now. It'll be really, really thick at the bottom. It still will work and all the rest of it, but you're going to have to get a brush in there to wake that up and to really get it going. But it will be a little bit more, the best way to describe it is gritty, shall we say, of when you put it on, because that's before we changed multiple things. Since that bottle came out, there's been about 5 different versions. So it still will do it. It's still the basic as it was, but it isn't quite as refined as we do it these days. These days, it's a lot more refined. You know, it's a slightly different product to that one, but it should still do exactly as the other washes do. So if you want to use it, no problem, but it will need a lot of mixing, a lot of waking up. Best way is get a brush in there, a soft brush, and mash it and wake it up, because if that has been sat still for years on end, it will properly separate and it will compact, and the clay will need proper waking up to make it work. But it should still do it in theory. So good luck with that one. Let us know how you get on. Right, okay, Keith. So Keith, all I'm going to say is I'm not going to read out your first version of this that you did earlier to me, because it was a little bit rude and a little bit to the mark, but I see you've edited it a few times, but I have got a copy of the other one if anybody wants to see it. But anyway, he says, Phil, you've used Tamiya LS metal paints and labelled them as metallic paint. Silver would be metallic paint, like the real thing. Were they painted over putty or linen or cloth? Paint you used on your Gladiator, and yes, gold on your lorry cap. Not what you said the first time. I use LP 38 flat aluminium, and to me it dries. That's how it dries, looking like flat aluminium and not like metallic paints. I associate it with car paints. When does a paint cease to be a metallic and become a metallizer? If it dries like a metal, with odd shiny bits, does it make it a metal finish? I'm confused. Please clear up my dilemma. Well, look, there's another thing to this as well, which I think is what you're getting at. To me, I have 2 pieces of aluminium here, right? Okay, so this is aluminium sheet. Hold on, different camera. And
that really highlights your face well when you do
it? Is it? I use it for catching rays. Okay, so this is aluminium, and you can see this is straightforward Ali sheet, all right? But this is industrial. Technically, it's what we call galvanized aluminium. It's used in construction. I used to use this as part of my everyday life in my different life, okay? And so that's what we used to use. This is still Ali, but this is the big rolls of it that I buy, okay? And as you can see, it's slightly different. This doesn't have what you're describing as that sort of gritty and fleck into it and all the rest of it. And there's lots of different variables on differences between aluminium, aluminium sheet, galvanized aluminium, and all the other aluminiums that go through it. There's lots of different sort of hybrids and things onto this. What I was getting at with all of these is that technically metallizer paints have that look like metal. Okay, so there's no fleck into it. There's no sort of grittiness and all that type of thing like you would get on a metallic car. And metallic paints, because metallic paints have a fleck in them which is reflects, which gives you the sparkly effect. By metals I'm on, you seem to be hung up completely on AK and on metal effects and everything else like it. To be honest, it's just one of those things. It's personal choice. Whatever you like is what you go with and what you use. Personally, I like to use for metallizer finishes, as in shiny metals and things like that. Then obviously I would use AK. That's what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, go off and use anything else if you want to. There is other ones in there, and as I said, for things like that dope lemon effect and stuff like that, I think it's LP11 I used on the Gladiator. That worked absolutely fantastic and it is absolutely stunning. And yes, you don't really get a metal grittiness effect, but it's still, I would call it a metallic effect instead of it being a true metal type one. And again, if you look at Mustangs, if you see where it's got, obviously it's puttied wings, and it's painted over, if you look at air show type things and stuff like that, from a slight distance, they don't look like a metallic paint. They actually look like the rest of it. But if you get up close to them, you can see the difference. So it is also this thing about, are you going to go for a scale effect? Are you doing it from a distance? Are you doing it right on top? So forth and so on. So again, it's literally down to personal choice. And like we always say, it's your model at the end of the day. You paint it whichever color you want to do it. And there is no right or wrong either to it. So knock yourself out.
I think it's just overthinking it.
Yes. Yeah, it is. I think that's the trouble. People get so hung up on colours and stuff like that, and I really don't get it. It's that thing. If it seems okay to you and you're happy with it, then just stick with it. Don't be told what to use and what colour's right and what colour's wrong. If it feels right to you and you're happy with the effect of it, then stick with it. Okay, Danny says, hi Phil and the team. I would like to ask you and everyone on the forum if they've had problems with Great Wall Hobbies aircraft kit decals. I've had a couple of their 48 scales and I've had some model makers, I've heard some model makers on the internet have had problems regarding them settling down or breaking up when you're moving them off of the backing paper. Has anyone else ever had a problem with these decals? I know that some modelers have sourced aftermarket decals for their builds rather than the chance of using their own kit ones. All the best and many thanks, Danny. Anybody ever use Great Wall Hobby decals? I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, I've done a couple, and I can't remember having a problem at all.
No.
At all. And then the day, if you start doing it and you start having a problem, then go and buy some aftermarket ones. I won't buy aftermarket ones until you've tried to see if you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things as well, like we've spoken about before, like Tamiya decals. They have a reputation for being really bad and horrible and very, very thick. But I've used them many, many times and haven't really had a problem with them. You get people and they say, oh, they're unrealistically thick and this, that, and the other. And again, I think it's that trade-off between solid colour and not having any sort of bleed through or sort of light effects and stuff making their way through the decal. So that's why they do them that way. As for breaking and shattering and stuff like that, again, we spoke about this the other day about having warm water is pretty much essential for it. If you put them into cold water, as it shocks the decal because it's cold and the backing paper sort of cinches up a little bit, that can crack and shatter the decal. So if it goes into warm water face down, they can't roll up and do all that thing onto them. It tends to hold their shape and everything like along it goes. But sometimes decals you can just be unlucky and you get them and they crack and things. I had it with the X15. I had a decal fold up on me. They are so thin. They're to the point where they're so thin, they're almost a pain because it's almost impossible to unget them. And I just had, I think it was a little bit of, on the F1 Air Force, just went under, so it clipped it and I couldn't get it out. And no matter, I'm there with my magnifiers and tweezers and brushes and water trying to straighten and flatten it out. And could I get it? And it took me absolutely ages. And all the time you're doing it, you're acutely aware you're about to rip it or it's going to break or something else. But eventually it came out and it went good. But again, you're thinking, do I blame the decal then because it's too thin? But actually what you want is really thin decals because they tend to go down the best. Because again, they tend to conform very easy because they are thin, but it does come at a price. So if they do roll up on you, you've got to try and unpick it, which can be horrible, you know?
I've got a new idea that I'm surprised no one's ever thought about before for keeping your decals warm. Is a baby bottle warmer.
Is that Nathan's?
No. Nathan's
did you go out and buy one, did you?
15 quid on Amazon.
Oh, look.
With a dial for various temperatures.
Yeah, mine's got a digital.
Can you imagine the questions you're going to be asked? So you're going to go, all these guys now are going to suddenly be buying them. But could you imagine what's worse? The lady modelers out there start buying them and the husbands are like, why? Why have you bought that? Christ's sake. Why are you suddenly buying all this baby gear? So
they're brilliant for keeping them. They kick in and keep the temperature consistent, like really consistent, and can have it at just somewhere in the middle is just the right setting. Mine is well, we bought one for its intended purpose and never used it, so I thought I could do something with one of these.
Yes, I think we had one, but that was like 18 years ago. So I think ours has been thrown away multiple times since. And I keep seeing Nathan using his all the time. and I'm fed up of like running backwards and forwards to try and get some warm water. And so we were talking about the cup warmers, weren't we, the other day?
Yeah.
And the one I've got is useless. It doesn't
it's
keep
like
anything
mine,
warm at all. So I thought, I'll look on Amazon and they'd say £15, and really is good.
But also the other little tip for doing it as well is, like we said, is if you add a little bit of micro set, which is the softener one, to your water before you put the decal in it. So this breaks down the enzymes of the decal and just softens it a little bit. So technically it just makes it, from the moment it's drawing it up, hopefully it's softening as well, so it's less likely to crack. But I always put the decal, you have some here, face down. I showed it a million times, but if you put it down face down, it can't roll up. If you put it down decal side up and put them in, they tend to roll up. And as they're rolling up, they're stretching, or obviously on the inside, they're conforming and they're going to crack. So if you put them down face down and let it slowly work its way in, I think it's a lot better. But definitely warm water is the key. You want it pretty much, well, it sounds funny, but baby temperature. You want it warm enough, and you go along and like, okay, is it warm? But it is. It's that thing. It's got to be what? If it's just tepid, ain't good enough. You want it to be a little bit warmer than tepid. Also, the thing is, it will help soften the decal generally for placing it. So if you're placing, a cold decal onto your model, it's going to be quite rock hard and tough, and it's going to be difficult for it to conform along the surfaces. And we're not just on about raised, we're on about recessed as well, to help it to get into everything. If it's a nice soft decal, it will help, and that's really what this stuff does. It softens it. But again, it's that initial thing from the time you put the decal into the water. That's the crucial time, because if it's going to shatter, it's going to do it right there and then. But as for Great Wall hobbies, back to the original subject, it's, again, I've never had a problem with it, and I haven't heard of anybody who has, but obviously clearly you have on the internet. Perhaps I would go on the internet more. But again, it's one of those things. Sometimes you can just be generally unlucky. Let's face it, we've all been there. I've had decals and they've been perfect, and you put one on and it just, for whatever reason, shatters, cracks, breaks up, jigsaw time, whichever it is. So don't know. Graham says, hello guys, I'm building a tank for the first time and have a question. When weathering the inside of a tank, what is the best way, fluorine wash or pigments? Neither. I will go with oils, if I'm honest. If you're doing inside of tanks, obviously we're assuming that you've got, an interior into it. If you're using oils, the great thing is that capillary action, the way it just goes off on its own. So you'll get nice little shadows areas, and it'll cling to nuts and bolts. And if you got like checker plate and stuff like that, it just works really well onto it. You can use the wash if you want to go down the route of using Flooring Models wash and stuff. If you thin it a bit, if you put it in neat, it'll be too thick. It'll just make everything look like mud. So you want to thin it a little bit with water and then put it in, and it will do it, and it'll give you more of a textured finish. The great thing with oils though is you can just pop them in, and if it's looking a little bit strong, just dab it off with a brush to draw it off, dry off a brush and then just pull it away. Also, you can thin a bit. So if you put a little bit of thinners on your brush and just manipulate it, you can just maneuver it around and smudge it around, and you can get some really nice texture, as I call it. So you can put it a grimy look onto walls in there and on roofs and various things in there, even over seats and over equipment as well, as if it's been handled and stuff. And that's the nice thing with oils, you've got a lot more finesse with it. And don't panic about it, you can always get it off. So enamel thinners, and you can literally almost wash it away and start again with it as well. So yes, pigments, floor dusting, stuff like that, again giving dusty effects inside as an afterwards. So once you got all of that down, then it's dried, then you can go in with pigments and give that nice sort of dust, especially if you're doing things like desert and those types of things where you'd have it everywhere, dust, it just goes to everything. But also you can do it with mud, so you can thicken it up a little bit, and again you can mix it with a little bit of enamel thinners pigment and make it into muddy bits, and then just dob it around, or just mix it with water and then splat it around and stuff like that. So yes,
I think Matt's latest video on his Bedford QL tanker.
Yes.
That's. I mean, I know he's using enamels rather than oils, but it's the same technique.
Yeah.
And I know it's on the outside rather than the inside, but it's still, again, it's still the same thing of doing your streaking and your bits and bobs. That's like worth looking at how he cleans it back up again and what have you afterwards. I should have watched that about 20 times whilst editing.
That's good, the power of editing. Yeah. But again, it's that thing. I think it's one of those areas where, you can either just, as I say, you can buy bottles of, and if you look at Matt's video, that's what he's done. He's got the AK enamel washes, or you can just mix up your own with a little bit of oil paints and do it that way, right the way into it. But you do have that little thing where, like, if you watch Matt's video, he plays with the wash. So he's got it on areas, and then he'll take a little bit away or manipulate it round. And that's the nice thing about using oils or enamel washes, because they don't dry very quickly. You can push them around for hours. Yeah, if you're using like the clay wash, it's going to start drying within 20 minutes. It'll be rock hard anyway. So you're going to have to add water to it to maneuver it, and it won't maneuver as well as oils or an enamel wash would. So yes. And Bryce says, "G'day Phil and guys, your zero build is particularly interesting to me. I have the Tamiya 32nd A6 M5, which I'll be converting to the clipped M3 using the wings from an M2, crikey, which I was able to get through a local distributor. Now to my question. After many years of being a model collector, I'm now returning to being a model maker. Years ago, I used a Badger single action airbrush and got good results. Should I practice with this or jump straight into using a double action airbrush and have more purchase? Sorry, I have purchased but never used. All the best from Oz." Personally, I would go with the double action purely because you've got that thing about you can vary it a lot more. And I know a lot of people just do that thing of like push and pull, as I call it. A lot of people I see when they're airbrushing, just literally it's all, just putting on paint. But after a while, it's nice to have a double action where you can sort of vary it a little bit. So, you can just do, instead of just always pulling back on the trigger, you just literally are playing with it like a car throttle. So you can just do a little bit and then you can do a big bit and do it. And that's the nice thing to it. And obviously the best thing about it is you can just turn it off and have air only and dry. So if you're looking, it's gone a little bit wet as you're airbrushing and you're thinking that's getting a bit over the top, you can come back just to air and just dry it off and away you go. So I think that's the beauty about a double action over a single action. Single actions have their places, and to be honest, I started off with a single action as well, but very quickly moved over to a double action airbrush purely so I could do the single drying it down if nothing else, because I used to always flood stuff to start with. It was always my problem. But yes, and then seeing as you got both, I would go with it, And if you know how to airbrush with a single action, trust me, a double action, it's not that much different. It's just you've got the pull now and you can vary that amount of paint that's coming out of it, which actually does work a lot well. You'll find out it'll be, I don't know how I did it with a single action for a long time. Ever done the single action, boys?
Oh,
I started on,
that.
Sorry, go on in.
I have that external mix. I think
Yeah.
Badger, but it was a Revell one. It's like a massive cup.
Mm-hmm. The old siphon feed ones.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine using a single action now. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I can't get my head around how I'd use them.
Yeah, I'm saying I started on a single action and I can't imagine painting with it nowadays.
No. I think
struggled
it's that thing, isn't it, where you get so used to using a double action, the thought of going back to a single action would terrify me, because I think I'd make a right cock up with it now.
The only thing I could see me ever using one for would be priming or something like that.
Yeah, priming or flat and gloss coating afterwards or something, where you treat it more like a aerosol in theory, isn't it? So
yeah.
But I would say definitely, it's not like you need to buy one. If you've got both, I would have a go with it. Trust me, as soon as you've sort of got the basics down packed about using it, you'll be good to go. But if you've, not being funny, you said yourself, you've had good results with a single action, most of that you've now learned anyway, because you know about distance, especially with a single action, and you know about moving the airbrush and everything else, and that's usually the thing people get stuck on most of all. So to go over to a dual action, because let's face it, all you're going to be doing now is that you can just sit there with air as long as you like, and then slowly make your way across, where obviously you never would have had that luxury before. So yes.
Can I just say that he's got the most common Australian name. You pronounced it wrong.
What, Bruce?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know. Right, Peter says, "Hi Phil and team. I have a question about using Tamiya acrylic paint. The paint comes out with a dull coat Oh God, hold on. Which dull coat are we talking about here? Comes with a dull coat to use. I'm wondering if you can use a different dull coat, such as Tester's dull coat over Tamiya. Oh, that's all right. You're on about that. I thought you meant flat basing. Oh. Tamiya acrylic to dull coat finish. Will this cause the paint to crack or bubble? Okay, so we often get this one asked about overcoating. So what you're basically talking about is overcoating perhaps Tamiya paints with somebody else's paint over the top of it. Again, it's not ideal in the best will of the world because they could have an effect. But if they usually offer the same type, i.e. they're both acrylics, they're both enamels, they're both lacquers, things like that, you should be absolutely fine. But the biggest thing is you make sure that the base coat has completely dried off. So whatever you've got down first, then let that completely gas off and dry before you put the other coat on top of it. So you will be fine. So you could go over it with Tester's dull coat, as long as it's not Tester's enamels, because obviously Testers do a lot of enamel paints as well. Make sure that the acrylic has completely gone off before you go in there going over the top of it. So, because you're saying in there that Tester's dull coat is made from their enamel line, you could, but you'd have to make sure that the Tamiya acrylic has completely gone off first before you go over it. The problem would come in there if you're using guns. I would be really wary about doing that over guns, because guns Aquatis range takes forever to go off, and then if you put over an enamel coat over that, yeah, I can imagine all types of nightmare scenarios coming into my head about it not only cracking but bubbling as well and peeling and all types of things going on there. So I would definitely be very wary about doing that one. The trouble you have with enamels, traditionally they take a long time to go off and to completely be handleable and stuff like that. That's why many of us moved away from those back in the day. But again, I've got Tester's coats here somewhere. I've lost it now. It's vanished. But yes, I've got a couple of their gloss coats. Anyways, I've been watching your shows on Facebook. Keep up the great work. Phil, your models you build and finish look stunning. All the best from the Conleys. Pete. Yes. So, have you ever put enamels over anything? As in clear coat enamels?
I've never dared use a clear coat enamel because it takes too long. It takes too long to dry. You have to keep it dust off it for God knows a week.
Hmm.
I think I use the I still brush coat clear.
Yeah.
Glass. I'll stick with one thing that works, and I'm not deviating from it until I run out of clear.
Yes, I must admit, the only thing I do use Testers, not their dull coat, but their gloss coat, their metallizer, which is an enamel, is over AK Extreme Metals, because they're an enamel as well. And that works really well, because that's what went over the actual, which one did I do last? I think it was the 104. And that worked very, very well on that one. So yes, some things you can get away with, some things you can't. But enamels tend to be that bit finicky, if I'm honest. I don't like using enamel stuff. But I have used enamels. Sometimes it's necessary. Like I used enamels on the hind, on the interior, and they went down fantastic. So I can't complain about them there. But I have got quite a few of their enamels, actually. They'll be worth a fortune one day. Bruno says, hi team, I'm in the process of building Tamiya's 1:350 scale Bismarck, and I was looking for some advice in creating the blast bags for the main guns. Do you have any suggestions for making these, please? So these are the white bags around the base of the guns that joins the turret.
To make them from scratch? I'm thinking that green stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I'd do it.
Like milli-put it, modelling
Yeah.
putting them that way.
I'd do milli-put, yeah. Because we had this similar question a while ago, didn't we? About someone asked about the.
They wanted a movable though, wasn't it?
Oh, they wanted movable, yeah. But fair, I was very confused about what blast bags were at the time, but
yeah,
now I know.
So that's why I said it. The thing is, the ones on the kit aren't that bad. I know everybody seems to have a mass hang-up about them, and I've never seen really why, because I've used them. Once you've painted them and weathered them and all the rest of it, they look absolutely great on there. But it depends. If you want a different deflection angle, I can see what you're getting at, because obviously they're on the kit, they're fixed. And I know some people like to do with like one up. And one, two forward, one up on some guns and all the rest of it. So like Bismarck, it's only two, isn't it? I think it only had twins. So, but on some of them where they have three, sometimes they have one gun up and then one forward, and they have to adjust them to do it. And I often think probably the easiest way, not that I've ever done it, is to literally make it up out of a little bit of putty, you know, a 2-part epoxy type putties, things like that. And what's that green stuff? Because somebody else has just rebranded it, isn't it? Who's done that? AK. So they've done a version. So it's a 2-part epoxy. You just rub it together until you make a one colour. And then you can stick it to it and then get the old tools out and just mould it into shape and all the rest of it. Let it go off and then paint it as normal. So, you know. But again, they're very small in that scale. They are very ickle.
Actually, I'm just watching. I'm just found a website here, and he's explaining how to do it. And he's used blue tack.
Oh right, okay.
Wouldn't that leach
after a while and go funny? Because blue tack goes a bit odd after a while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It stains, doesn't it? I think the green stuff's the best way because it's like a very, very fine milliput. It's got, and if you keep sounds very hard to say. If you keep your tools wet, it doesn't stick, very sticky.
Yeah.
But I'd do it that way, and you could possibly customize the ones in the kit a bit, like chop them up and then fill the gaps that you've created with the green stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what all the figure modelers use to sculpt.
Yeah, because obviously it's not a lot, like you're saying, Nate. If you get a figure modeler and they've got an arm, they'll cut the arm off and put it at a different angle and then just backfill with like green stuff. And they say, I think you're right. If you keep your tools wet, you can almost, it's like clay, isn't it? Modeling, you know, you can keep it all nice and smooth and everything.
Phrase of the day.
Okay, John says, hi Phil, I'm wondering if you have discovered a way of keeping your putty from drying out. I've used Testors, Vallejo and Perfect Plastic putties and they have all dried out in the tubes. Are about a third of the way gone. I've put a cap right the way on after using them, but they dry out after a few months. Is this normal life expectancy of a tube?
Tell you something. I've got, you can see the label on this.
Crikey, yeah.
For a long, long time, and it's still usable. It's the plastic Vallejo, but it's in the paint pot. I've had this for ages, and it's getting a bit thick.
Yes.
Now, but it's not gone off, and that has outlasted 5 bottles of the old Perfect Plastic putty easily.
Yeah. I think the old plastic putty, if you've got the plastic tubes, the trouble with those is that because they used to re-inflate after you'd squeezed them, because they were plastic, they used to open up, didn't they? Well, you used to suck air in. You got a lot of air in there, and because it's an air dryer, it just used to go rock hard in the tubes. I think that was the trouble. That's why these, you know, if the metal ones, because you squeeze them, you're not allowing air back in. And that, I think, is probably the secret as well. If they get air going into there, they can go off and dry. But to be honest, I've had this tube of Perfect Plastic putty now for ages, and it's still working, no problem at all. What you could do with the water-based ones, like Perfect Plastic putty, and like Nathan's, yours is water-based as well, isn't it, I think?
This one is, yeah.
Yeah. You could put a drop of water in them, and then let that just put in the top a bit of water, screw the cap back on, and it will help hydrate everything that's going on in there, and it'll stop them drying out. As for the other ones, I'm not sure.
See, I've got those are the Perfect Plastic putties, and I still prefer that one because, like you said, all I do is just take the top off.
Yeah.
A pipette with a bit of water in it, just put it in, squeeze it, and then just like put the top back on, and then just like massage it.
Yeah, bring it back to life.
Back in, and you sort of like you can make it. The last one I found it ended up cracking because I'd had it that long. The plastic cracks, so that so it ended up being useless. But I don't know. Just add a bit of water to it.
Yeah,
like I said, the tube one should last longer, couldn't it? Because there's no air getting into it.
No, because I used to think that was the design fault with the plastic tube, because it does open up straight away. As soon as you squeeze it, it goes back to its shape, and obviously you get an air void inside there. And I think that's what used to make them go really thick very quick. But again, I used to put a little bit of water in them to keep them going.
I've got a Vallejo one somewhere as well, but I don't really like that much.
But the Tammy putties, the lacquery ones, they've not dried out on me. But this one is ancient, and it's I think the lid has helped. David Chandler's come up with a very extravagant solution to the problem. Let's get a jar humidifier. But And someone else has put, don't mix up your cigars for your perfect plastic pudding.
I think as well, obviously, you know, some of the guys saying about putting it into zip bags and all stuff like that, you know, again, it's that thing about not leaving the tubes undone, because we're all guilty of that, isn't it? You look down and it's like, oh, better put the tube back on. So there you go. Instead of like perhaps squeezing out the dry bit on the end, you just put the cap on, and it's like, well, it's on its way already now. So that might be a thing.
So we're all going to be going off now buying cigar humidors to.
Krista says he's got them and he puts them into glass jars with silicone bags, like the moisture.
That's a good idea.
Works great.
Get those when you buy stuff, don't you? Your COVID home test kits have got those silicone bags in them.
Yes. I must admit, I've never had a problem. The guy's also saying about cling film and stuff as well. Keep in a dark place. Well, that's me, that is. I'm like a mushroom. Kept in the dark and fed. Yeah. But yes, I think it's one of those things. I've never really had that problem, and I don't go through tons of it. But we did discover the other day, me and Matt were talking about how the 2-part milliput had gone off and it goes brown on the outsides and all the rest of it. And people were talking about if you put it into the microwave, apparently that brings it back. I haven't tried it yet because it might stink the microwave out, but you know. But yes, it's funny. That's because we're all tight and still trying to get that little tube that we bought 5 years ago and get that last bit out.
I'll be sad when this one finally dies. It's been with me a long time.
I used to have quite a few bottles of them. I don't know what I did with them now. I think I've offloaded them, but yes. So I've got, I was doing DIY this weekend, so I have got a bit of this. This is Flexi Filler. I'll have to try that. I'm sure since they've knocked down the factory next door, the house is just full of cracks. So I was like, right, we're getting in there this week as well. I was doing Sunday, going around the house filling cracks everywhere. So, but yeah, that's the Flexi Filler. So that'd be interesting to see what that would do. So yes, yeah, they say 20 seconds in the microwave gets damn hot. I would say less than that. It's definitely my microwave. I think if I put it into 20 seconds, anything there would just melt. Good job. Right, okay, so Paul says, "Hey up, chaps. Hope you're all fit and well. Like many modelers, I love microcrystal clear, but occasionally I do wish it would cure a little faster. Is there another version of MKK? Oh, okay, so that's our new name for it then. Or something, a similar product that does exactly that." What was that stuff you bought, Andy, from Japan? Oh, look, he's got it in his hand. He's all ready for it. So hold on, let me put it on the screen so people can see it. Not that anyone can read that.
I don't even know whether it's right way up or not. I know, does it go that way?
I think it's the other way, personally. There you go.
That way, yeah. I have no idea what it's called either.
Yes. So,
and yeah, I think this does dry a bit quicker. But the problem is with microcrystal clear, because it's water based again, you can sort of wipe it away easy. This is a bit more unforgiving in that respect, you know. So when you put your canopy on, it squashes out. You get a cotton bud and just like, you know, wipe it away. It isn't quite as forgiving as that, but crystal clear is just a PVA. Do they do fast setting PVAs?
I don't think they do. To be honest, PVA is PVA at the end of the day, isn't it?
And it's water based, isn't it? Yeah. So you're waiting for it.
It's just going to naturally air dry. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
Again, like everything, if you put on a lot, it's going to take a long time to dry. And like recently, I've been using whatever I've done with it. Now I was using it the other day. What have I done with it? The pens, the masking pens. What have I done with it? I had it the other day. I've been using it. I'll put it down somewhere. But this is it's like mask oil in a pen. And I put it on like clear parts and then temporarily tack them onto parts. So like I'll fit a canopy and then for painting, and then it's enough to hold it in place, but it's not enough properly because if you knock it, it will fall off and stuff like that. Well, PVA glue's the same. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll literally just use a little smidging of it, pop it down the canopy on, because I can just pop a blade under it and ping it off and get it off, and then properly paint it and everything afterwards, and then reseat it for final and do it that way. And again, it's that thing, if you don't put much on there, it dries almost instant, but if you put a good dollop on, or you've got a little bit of a gap and it needs its time, it's going to take a while to go off. But the great thing about obviously using like a PVA is, one, it's waterable cleanup. So cotton bud, moisten it a bit, lick it, and then you can just wipe away the excess on the outside. It gives a nice smooth finish to it. And obviously, if anything is on the inside, you know it's going to be absolutely crystal clear, and you won't have a problem with it.
I've just been doing Google Translate on this label, and it's by a company called Semidyne.
Right.
This Japanese glue, which we got it on Amazon, didn't we?
Yeah.
But it's called, well, I don't know.
So how good is that stuff? Have you both used it?
It is. I think it's stronger than micro crystal clear. It's got a stronger bond. It doesn't dry quickly, so you couldn't use it like an instant set. It's probably dries in about half the time of micro crystal clear. But once it's dry and it's on, I don't think there's a massive difference. I don't know. It's on Amazon, Semidyne.
Because to be honest, I think, like, you know, microcrystal clear is just like we said before. I think it's more of a refined PVA glue. It is a PVA glue. Let's not kid ourselves here. It's nothing special. It's just that I think because it dries really clear is because it's obviously a very highly refined version of. So it leaves nothing behind. And I have done it before where I've done it and like literally the inside of it's white and you're like, Jesus. But it will go, and obviously I use it for windows on airliners and all those types of things, and it will go proper clear. It's not going to be as clear as a piece of plastic in there, obviously, but it's clear enough for what you need. And obviously if you do get any little accents on the inside, you might just see an edge of it, but it won't be anything that will distort. You can still see through it, so that's the main thing. Whereas obviously if you use a normal PVA glue, which I've got down in here, so I use for other jobs, you know, I wouldn't dream of using this stuff. This is my Hobbycraft Special. I think you probably wouldn't be clear at all. You know, it's going to look horrible. But, yes. Yes, the guy's talking about it down there. Sorry, I've just seen if anybody had a good idea down there. So, anyway, and Andy, I hope you're feeling better, mate. What is that? Two-way humidity control, no mess nowhere. Oh, thank God for that. Yes, Andy, hope you're feeling better, mate. Andy wasn't been very well. So hopefully he's doing all right. Andy's my neighbour. He lives over there. Literally. Anyway, he says, are we able to get the Atari Wessex HU5 48 scale kit? Is there one due out? Is there one out?
The old one, which Matt did, and mine's...
Oh, it's an older kit. I thought perhaps it was a new one coming out.
It's not old, but it's not a brand new one.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure it's in production at the moment, but our supplier that we get them from is having a few technical difficulties, so I can't even check on their website. So I'll have a search around and see if we can get hold of them. But I'm not holding. I've got a feeling that it's not in production at the moment.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that one, Andy. Not a problem. Matthew says, hi Phil and team, I fancy building a 72nd scale or 148 scale F16. I've never done one. What kit would you recommend? Tamiya.
And Tamiya.
And Tamiya.
All day long.
One word, Tamiya. Honestly, the 72nd one is beautiful. I've done a review of it, and the 48 scale one I've built about 10 now. They are absolutely both beautiful kits. Very, very nice. There is other options out there. What was that awful one I reviewed the other week?
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Whose was it? Hold on, let me look at that fantastic review of a kit you really don't want to do. That one.
That's the one.
That's it. Don't do that one. That's just awful. It looks like somebody did the scribing with an old rusty shoe.
We are going to have to sell them one day.
How many have you got at the warehouse still?
2.
Is that one that came back from me?
Yeah.
So yes, that's it. Who says we don't do, reviews, fair reviews? It's awful kit. But anyway, I'm sure somebody must love it. But don't do that one. Do the Tamiya one, definitely. Because the Tamiya one, both of them are absolutely beautiful. Honestly, if you want to go that little bit more, go for and I got it down there. What you want to do is get the block 2532 Fighting Falcon. It's the Aggressor. No, it's not that one. Where's my Mukau one? Hold on, I've got loads on the go here. I've lost it. You want Moo Cow, the aggressor version, because in the aggressor version you get all the versions in that kit. But I think they've discontinued that one, haven't they, Andy? Now,
Yes, they have.
bugger. Because say that was actually a good one because you got them all in one box basically. Because they do two versions. They do the Block 32s, which is like the Block 25-32, which is known as their Air National Guard version, and they do the Block 50s, which is the CJ one, which I think are the two current ones that are available at the moment. But they also did do, so hopefully it might come back at some point, the other one as well, the Aggressor. Because as I say, very, very nice job indeed on those ones. But they're beautiful kits. They go together fantastic.
I think I've got 3 or 4 of those Tamiya ones.
They are. They're very, very nice. Notable other ones. Nathan?
Dirk got one. I agree with Dirk. The Revell 72 ones are nice.
Yes.
Because they do some of the A's and the sort of European sort of early ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want... Go on, do I have to say that?
Go on, do it. Go on. Go on.
If you want like D's or Suppers, the kinetic one looks nice when it's together.
Yes.
But it's a hard road getting it together.
They do like all the barracks and barkeeps and things.
I think the big thing is obviously if you want Tamiya, they only do the single seat versions. If you want the 2 seats and the ones with like conformal fuel tanks and bars down the spine, the chunky versions I call them, then yeah, you're going to need to go down other manufacturers' routes. Which in 48 scale you're looking at kinetic really, because they do everything from the European versions up. So yes, so definitely.
If you want 30-second, Tamiya.
Or, to be honest, Academy. I did the Academy one.
Yeah, Academy. Yeah,
the Academy one, for its money, actually isn't too bad at all. But if you go for, I think Tamiya, well, Academy, well, if you can get it, the latest release they did was the Polish Block 60, which actually is quite a nice kit. I did quite fancy that. It's got great decals in it if you want to go huge. That's a nice kit. Again, 2-seater version on that one. Okay, right. Who's done their homework? Nathan's got a book. Great. Okay, Scott says, hi guys, quick question about the new Airfix Sabre. At the time of writing, the kit is on the way from PM to me, but I was considering getting the new extra cowl sheet, which I assume is this one down in here, extra decal sheet, for it, but don't really know much about Sabre wings. Nor do we. I'm just putting this out there now. We haven't got a clue either. Wing types. I know the kit is actually built on the Mark IV. Okay. From CAD images, it seems that the 6.3 wing and the fences no slats makes it the F86E standard, I think. So it also can be a Mark V Canadair version, but not the Mark II or 6. Brackets F86A or F86F. The sheet covers Marks 2, 4, 5 and 6. So I'm a bit confusing. Can you do the Mark 6 or 2? So
I did read about Sabre wings and fairly quickly lost the will to live, if I'm honest.
Yes.
I've read it and I'm more confused than when I started.
See, I'm with Dirk slightly. As far as the only thing I know about Sabres is the Mark 6 has got the slatted wing, where the others have got the hard edge wing, isn't it? They don't have the slatted wing. That's the only thing I sort of know. But I do know it is a little bit of a minefield when it comes to Sabres and wings.
Yep, the 6.3 wing's got a little vertical fence on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 2/3 out. I'm looking at the scale plans here.
Yeah.
But getting your 5s and your 6s and all that sort of stuff, it is a bit confusing. Then I started to find out some F4s had one wing and some F4s had the other wing.
Yes.
So I think the best thing to do is, if you get the decal sheet, find a photograph of the actual thing on the decal.
The one you're going to do, yeah.
And just see what it is. But I mean, other people are suggesting, hinting. I mean, it's guesswork, isn't it? That Airfix might come out with the other wing.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about the other day, wasn't it? If they would.
I don't know what the difference. So the Mark 6, I didn't quite get to the end of the story. Like, is that a different wing? But they've got different engines and different vents and like intake.
Yeah, different nozzly bits and yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things like, if you I think Extra Decal might have been a bit lazy and just whacked a load of different marks on their decal sheet and not quite matched it up. You can always get that. Just build it if you like a scheme. Build it and to hell with it.
Yeah, go for it. Nobody will know, apart from Dirk, because he says there the RAF Sabres got modded. They did have the short wings and then got the 6.3 wings later. Okay.
I mean, it's on this decal sheet. You can do the F6, F2, F5, F4. Can you actually get all those kits?
I think if you get the Hasekawa,
Yeah, but what's that? What is that?
that's going to be a 6.3. I don't know.
And what about the Academy?
They're saying that Jean Philippe has just said Mark 6s had different wings as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Jean just said that as well. He says the early Mark 6 had the solid 6'3" wing with the fences, and later had the slatted 6'3" wings. So there you go. That answers that one. It could be anything.
It's one of those where you're going to need a photograph of the real thing, I think.
You know what? I just
build it.
paint it how you want it and put whatever decals you want on it.
The RAF had, Chris is asking, some of the RAF ones had the General Electric engines and some of them didn't. It is a proper minefield, this Sabre. Someone should start a SIG.
Have you got time, Nate?
No. So I read this book for about 20 minutes before we came on, and I was just none the wiser when I'd finished. And then I thought, Christ.
There's one on there that thinks it's a RAF Red Arrows Hawk, so...
Just quickly ask Russell is in chat, and he's just saying, I've ever built one of these, and I just clicked on it, because obviously I can't show it on here, it's on the other computer, and he's got the really early 70s 48 scale F-16. Funny enough, I have. It comes in white plastic, that one. If you get the version I had, it's not the same as the new one, trust me. It's completely, they ditched that kit a long time ago for the new version. So that's the old, I think it was actually done off the old prototype. Back in the 70s, that one. And right, okay, so Sabre wings, what we're saying is it's your model. We won't tell anyone if you don't say anything. So stick what you like on it. David said, howdy gents, quick short question this week. Can you please explain the difference between filter and glaze? How are they used, and when would someone use them for best effect? God, this is this, this is one of those questions. Is it more terminology where some people might call a filter a glaze or a glaze a filter?
Aren't they all just really thin paint?
Yeah, what you're doing is just slightly changing the undercolour, aren't you?
Yeah, just modify the hue of the base coat, don't you? But is it?
I call that a filter because I did that on my Dornier 335 where I literally got some enamel thinners, a dash of paint, applied it over the whole thing, and I thought that was a filter.
Yeah. So I spoke to Matt about this earlier on because I don't know, and he came back with the thing that actually a filter is like putting on a wash and things like that, and a glaze is a little bit thicker. And there's obviously like putting on a coloured gloss coat or something else like that to your model.
Yeah, I've got a MIG wash here, and it is just thin paint in this, really. And I've not got a glaze, so I don't know. I thought glaze to me suggests it should be shiny when you.
Well, about to say, I was reading the Cambridge English Directory says.
Directory, is that like a dictionary?
It's similar to dictionary, but not quite the same.
Yeah.
This one tells you where. This one tells you where to go with it.
Yeah, it's it.
Says glaze verb shiny, to make a surface shiny by putting a liquid substance onto it, leaving it or heating it until it dries.
Yeah, when you say glaze, I think of Krispy Kreme donuts.
Do you know what, Nath? Yeah. That me and you are on the same wavelength there, because when I saw it the first time, I was thinking the glaze is what goes on donuts.
Yeah, you get that shiny.
Yeah,
that's it. When you glaze a cake, you put a pastry, you put egg on it, and
to be honest, the way and you say you're glazing it, aren't you? You put a little bit of egg yellow, put egg mix on your bread, and give it tiger loaf effect. That's it. That's what I'm going with. But again,
Now,
I think it could be one of those things where it's like a terminology thing, isn't it? Where some people might call it a glaze, others might call it a filter. You know, because I've seen people before and they've talked about glazes, and to me that's a filter. So
I don't know. Tomato. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe different companies are using them differently, and it's all a little bit of a.
Christopher says, "Thank goodness you gentlemen have Krispy Kremes in the UK." What do you think? We're not that bad. We're not that far behind. Do you think we are animals over here? God.
I remember going to the first one that opened in Britain in Harrods.
Yes, crikey.
And we can get them delivered by Uber Eats.
Yeah, but it's all right for you. You get everything delivered by Uber Eats. Me, I'm still like 10 miles away from the nearest one, I think.
So nice.
It could be a marketing gimmick, David. David said perhaps it's a marketing gimmick for flogging different stuff. Wouldn't surprise me. But a glaze, I always would say it's more of a finish, you know, if that's makes sense. So you could use a glaze. If you was to colour like a gloss coat or a flat coat and you're going to go for that type of effect, that's how it was. I would call a filter like, you know, like Dave says, and I've done before as well, where you mix up a colour to, you know, like a camera filter or a photography filter or something else like that. So you're changing the colour shift off a bit. You know, the same way as what sometimes when we do like oil dot washes and that, where you put dots all over it and then wash them in. Technically, you're just causing a filter right the way over it to break up the actual colour underneath. So, I don't know. Again, there's sometimes you get people and they'll call it one thing and, you know, other people call it other things, but it technically is all the same. So it's like a satin or a semi-gloss.
Just trying to think back in the days of Warhammer. I used to do that like 22 years ago when I was young, obviously. Not 20 years ago. I think they used to call it a glaze.
Yeah.
And I think it was basically what a filter is. I think it's the same thing, but different, like you said. Maybe some companies have a glaze and a filter to get you to buy the same stuff.
To buy the same thing twice, yeah. David's taking the piss now. He says, Phil, thanks for your guys. Always provide detailed answers. No, because we don't know. The answer is we're bluffing it and bullshit here because we're not actually 100%, but it sounds good to us. So, yes. And it's definitely a scone.
Scone.
Because you don't stone someone to death, do you?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right. Have you had a Tim Hortons donut yet, Phil?
No.
They're lush. There's a Tim Hortons in Warrington, and they're really nice. But I don't want to start the Canadian-American donut war thing off.
Oh, right, okay.
We've gone off on loads of tangents.
That's it. It's going to kick it all off. Okay, AD says, evening gents, is it possible to drill a locating hole in a canopy in order to fit an aerial mast? If the kit doesn't come with one, or am I likely to crack the canopy? If it is possible, how do you recommend doing it? Carefully. If not, would you attach an aerial directly to the canopy surface, and what glue would you use? Just mindful that the sewing elastic is going to pull it taut if it doesn't have a locating hole. Again, don't have it too taut. That's what I've always said when I've done it that way. You can, because don't forget, if you're drilling into a canopy, it's just plastic, it's just styrene, it just happens to be clear, but you want a very nice sharp drill bit to do it. You don't want anything lumpy that's going to grab and then crack. But again, make sure that you put some tack in behind your canopy, pack it out as well so it's all in there, so when you're doing it you don't accidentally crush it and either crack it or break it in two or anything else. But you should be able to drill into it because it is no different. It's just clear styrene. It's not glass or ceramics or anything else that's going to crack. You could just, you know, like you would do if you're drilling into glass or a tile, is to put some masking tape over it first, then go in so it doesn't skip and slide off and end up scratching your canopy and stuff. But you should be able to drill it. I've drilled it clear parts loads of times. But if not, you know, I did one, if you saw it, but the Seahawk has I think it's actually a pressure gauge, maybe something. I don't know what gauge it is, but I'm pretty sure there's one to the outside. Just then it literally comes straight through the middle of the canopy in front of the two pilots at the front. So with that one, I literally just PVA glued it straight onto the glass. So $1 PVA glue, crystal clear, funny enough, and then just stuck it onto it. And to be honest, it's on there pretty tough. But other ones I've done where it's in the canopy, I've usually PVA glued. But the thing is with like knitting in elastic, if that's what you're planning on, it doesn't have to be like proper taut. You're just taking the slack off and then glue it at one end and then to the other. And I've never known one to pull off yet, not when it's totally dry. But by all means, you can. There you go. Temperature gauge. Is that what it is, Ian? Okay. So there you go. It's temperature gauge that goes through the centre of the windscreen on those ones. Thank you, Ian. And do it that way. So yeah, but you should be able to drill it. I've never had a problem. You drill clear parts?
I don't think I've, but I do it so slowly and gently.
I think the biggest problem is if it was to grip, you might end up something bad. But if you've got a nice sharp drill bit, you should be absolutely fine with it. Because I've done it a few times. Andy will now demonstrate live and break another canopy.
I know we've mentioned Tamiya a few times, right? PM, sell them. Tamiya twist drills are really good.
So I always use one of these 4X because you can't put too much pressure on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but just.
Well, the Archimedes.
Yeah, and it just I can't do it because I'm holding it, but yeah, but because you can't put too much pressure on it, it's like you don't.
Thank God he's not on full screen with that. And you're on about me with needles and nozzles and things. You wait, that's a whole new show. That is.
Yeah.
There he is. Can we get a live demonstration, please, on tomorrow afternoon show?
What the screen grab's going to be tonight.
I think I need one of those in my life. I do not have one of those.
I've never used them. Just thinking, the elastic thread, you can sort of separate it out and thin it, and it'll reduce the amount of tension in the thread.
Pull onto it, yeah, definitely. But I personally, I think it'd be fine as long as it's got a bit of meat into the plastic as well. If it's really thin, then obviously be very careful with it. But a good sharp, and like Nathan's got there, you can get the little what they call reamer bits. They're good for it as well because they don't tend to bite. They'll just cut through, and you should be all right on it because it is technically it's styrene. But the only thing I would say is to pack it out. So make sure you've got something in purely in case you pinch it. If you pinch it and then crack it, you're putting pressure, but also you'll put pressure on the bit as well as it's sat in there. But if you've got it all packed out with a little bit of blue tack or white tack or something in there, when you're going in, it should be absolutely fine. Okay, Mike says, guys, what is the best 148 scale Mirage 3 kit? I've hit a wall with the Edard kit. Gaps and filling, natural metal finish. It just didn't work. Dodgy canopy, landing gear locator pins, etc. Positives, great masking set. By the way, love the X15, but don't have the guts to attempt a multi-black paint job. That's a piece of cake, it's fine. Post shading with silver was the nightmare, but it seemed to have pulled it off.
Peter's just said he's had the same bother with this kit.
Yeah, so. To be honest, we had a very similar question. Me and Matt, I think, were talking about. Was it on Friday's show with Andy as well? We were talking about or was it? I don't know. But we were talking about Mirages because Matt's built the same one as me. We both built the Hobby Boss one a long time ago now. And actually, for the money, because I think it was literally a 10 of that kit. I don't know what they are now. Have we got any of the Mark III CJs in stock? Mirage 3 CJ kit it was in the deserty colours on the box. I remember it well. But anyway, it's actually for the money a really nice kit, and I didn't have a problem with it going together at all. I used to have it as an old photo build on the old site, but it's never made it across, and God knows where it is now. It's probably lost to the things of time. But yeah, a lot of people at that point, that kit got released the same time as this kit came out. And it was one of those things where people were moaning like hell about the wing join as it went underneath and needed fill in and all the rest of it. Yet the Hobby Boss one went in no problem at all.
Yeah, we've got the CJ in stock, yeah.
So you say Hobby Boss Mirage 3 CJ kit actually is very, very nice. It's a bit basic, but as I say, you can get aftermarket your bits for the cockpit if you want to go down that route and just to lighten it off. But overall, body-wise, it's great.
No, the kinetic ones are newer, but I don't think they do a C. Yeah. I think they only do D's. Yeah, later ones. So like later ones. I think the E's are the E's that they do. I think they got longer fuselages, haven't they?
I must admit, I'm not up to Mirages.
And then they do the 2000s, which are a bigger aircraft anyway. But yeah, we've got the Hobby Boss one in stock and the kinetic ones if you want something a bit different.
Right, okay. Jean has put up an updated Sabre differences sheet in the research and documentation area on the forum. So well done to him. We can go off and have a look at that tomorrow. We'll pop in there and have a look at that tomorrow. Thank you for doing that. So yeah, I would personally, Hobby Boss kit, again, when you're talking the money, it's going to be, I don't know, probably no more than 15 quid now. It'll be a bargain kit with it. I don't know, actually, Andy, before I say this, how much we got them on the site for?
20 quid.
Oh, they're 20 quid. I was going to say, there was many, many moons ago I did it. It was at my old house, which would have been 15 years ago now. So, but it's still actually, I think, very nice.
Hang on, sorry. Right, that's the CJ.
Mm-hmm.
The C we're out of stock of.
Oh, right, okay.
But
Dirk's got not a bad idea is to go down to the models bit 72 one.
That was a lovely little kit I reviewed the other week.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
And some people don't like to model scales, but that might be a good workaround.
Yes. Yeah, no, Dirk's got a good point there, because that's a lovely little kit. The details, absolutely, well, the details got more than the Hobby Boss kit. Well, the Hobby Boss kit's pretty nice. Okay, so Michael says, hi Phil and team, I have a question regarding PVA glues. Is it just regular wood glue or something special? Well, it depends on your PVA glue. Wood glue goes rock hard though, doesn't it? Wood glue's different. Because
wood glue goes like
Evo stuff goes rock hard, doesn't it? It proper. Yeah.
Doesn't dry clear either, does it?
No, it goes yellowy coloured, doesn't it, when it dries, that stuff.
That's it. I've got the Gator Grip stuff as well. That's as rare as ends tape, isn't it?
Standard PVA is, pretty much exactly the same, but I think the microcrystal clear is probably a more refined.
Yeah, I think it's a nicer version of. So.
PVA is like a generic type of glue, isn't it? But there's different.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some just
school glue.
It's called school PVA. It's called.
Well, it is. If they call it crafting PVA glue, and it's the cheap one like that.
Generally, that sort of dries. Yeah, sort of a bit.
Yeah, cloudy. It dries cloudy. Yeah, it doesn't dry crystal clear. Whereas obviously, I think this is just the PVA glue, but this is obviously a bit more refined. And it dries crystal clear. Like this dries cloudy, so I wouldn't use it for clear work. But I think it's just one of those. But I think wood glue tends to dry a bit yellowy, so it probably sees what's that? It's got Elmer's. Elmer's is nice, but does Elmer's dry crystal clear?
I've not used that one.
No.
Can we get that in the UK? Elmer's.
Steve says, evening, I hope all is good. Just a quick one. I bought the Tamiya 48 scale F16. That's a popular question tonight. Was going to do it straight out of the box, but can't bring myself to do it to do normal. So does anyone know of that can print bespoke decals? We've had this. No. Not these days. I don't know of a company or anybody who's geared up for printing what I call full decals, as in proper decals. Obviously, we spoke about doing our own and stuff like that, but a proper person who's got the proper printer that can print white and all the rest of it, I don't know of anybody who's doing it at the moment. Anybody got any ideas?
Fantasy Print Shop, but they don't do one-offs.
No.
They do. Yeah, there was a couple of companies floating around who had those Alps printers, but I think there's Alps printers. Just don't think anybody can get the parts and stuff for them anymore, can they? So they seem to have dropped off the end of the earth, these companies that used to do bespoke decals, but they charge a king's ransom anyway.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, there was a company in France, I don't know if he's still going, but he used to do it. And used to do fantastic decals, and they were really, really good. But I don't think he's going anymore. I did know he didn't close down, but he took a bit of a break from it. I don't know if he ever came back, but that was about 10 years ago now. Yes, it is one of those things. I think by the time, if you go to someone with markings and say, can you do that? obviously you've got to do the time. It's not just the cost of printing the sheet. You've got the time of them working out all the angles. And I know from Ron's point of view, when he got caught up with doing the masking sets, trying to work them out how they bend round corners and round fuselages and stuff is a real art form. And it, it's like he said, it might take him 3 or 4 hours to design the sheet, let alone print it. Who's paying for those hours? And nobody wants to pay the time. He's got to sit there, and he did spend a lot of time. A lot of people got for nothing because he wasn't charging for his time. As you said, it takes 4 or 5 hours sometimes to do a simple one, let alone full wraparound on, an airliner or something else like that. So it can be a little bit in depth.
But so the circle's not a circle, is it? When you put it onto a curve,
no, that's it.
Change shape.
They've cramped it with all these super CAD skills. They're doing like a canopy mask.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Trying to work out a canopy mask is an absolute nightmare. It's, so that's the thing. And I think you need to put that into one. So what's that? Spot Model can do custom decals again, but you might be paying a hefty price for them, which I can't blame them if they did, because it is all that time it takes to do all that type of thing.
How stranger markings does he want that they're not actually ever been printed? Because
it does make you wonder. Yeah,
there must be that many different ones that have been done. Yeah, so like by somebody. Yeah. It'd be amazing if you couldn't find unless you were doing something completely one-off of your own design. But
I mean, if it's a simple case of custom letter codes, you can get the generic sheets, can't you?
Yeah, well, we've spoken about that before when people have said about for tail codes and things like that. You can buy the generic sheets and then just line them all up and do them individually, rather than getting somebody to make one, just to make up numbers and stuff like that.
Speaking of the decals, how long do you think it's going to be before Revell bring out the new Luftwaffe tiger meat?
It does look nice, doesn't it? Look, the tiger meats this year look really nice. The Eurofighters, the Spanish one looks cool as well. I reckon Revell will do. They seem to they miss the odd year when they don't do every single tiger meat. But yeah, I reckon they'll do it.
Talking of weird things, anybody watch the live second flight of the Strato, whatever it is, the world's largest plane by Wingspan? That was this afternoon, its second flight. So I must admit, I had that on whilst I was working. So watching that thing take off and land is really, really weird. So if you imagine like the Zeal wing, and it looks like that, it's just odd on every... How it doesn't snap in half is beyond me. So, yes, odd thing. Okay, Mark says, Phil, which sanders are capable of being washed and which one should I keep away from soap and water? You can wash them all apart from that one, the green and white one. Green and white one is not water soluble, it is water soluble. It will literally come adrift in water. The rest of them, you can do it. Somebody put one through the dishwasher the other day, which I've never heard of doing, and I'm amazed it didn't de-glue itself, but apparently it worked, but that's about it. But normally they are, don't forget, you sort of have them and you can just, and they self-clean. Yeah. So, yes, even the hardiest ones, you get crappy ones and then you should ruin your jeans and just be able to, and they clean up. So, normally they can just tap them out. I know somebody had the other day, they were saying they had a bit of jean off of an old pair of jeans and they just tap them onto that and do it that way, which I thought was quite clever. Probably saved me doing my trousers in every week. So yes, that would be an idea. But yeah, they all are water washable and all the rest of it. But I probably wouldn't recommend putting them into a dishwasher because the dishwasher gets proper hot and they might just delaminate with the glue melting. But in warm soapy water, you can wash them out and everything, but not the green and white ones. Because the green and white ones, they're totally different. They're aluminium oxide and they will fall apart. And Lee says, good afternoon, beginner airbrusher here. Would you recommend the H&S Ultra 2-in-1 for someone like myself using a 0.2 for general work and the 0.4 for priming and varnishing? Or should I go with something else? Or two separate airbrushes? I'm currently working exclusively on 1/72. Lee. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mess around with having two airbrushes with two different size needles in and all the rest of it. Either a 0.2 or a 0.3 is absolutely fine. Even a 0.4, I think you could probably get away with. It'd be fine. As for an H&S Ultra, they're okay airbrushes, but as we've spoken about before, you might just want to step up to something a little bit more. and I know we always push them. It's a shame we don't sell them really, but is the actual Procom 270. We worked out it's 110 quid at the moment, isn't it? Somewhere.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
110 quid, and that will last you forever. And for this one, I've got the 0.2 in it. I think it was, yes, 0.2. But I know Matt's got the 0.3, isn't he?
I think he's on 0.2 now.
Is he on 0.2? He changed out his needle nozzle, but you can change out your needle nozzles. But as I say, I know loads of people have got the 0.3, and I personally, I can honestly say, if somebody gave me a 0.3, I don't think I'd notice the difference between that. 0.4, you probably get a bit bigger, but anyway, that'd be absolutely fine. And for the price you'd pay for 2, then I would say go for that one. Because again, you've got the Mac valve into it, you've got the lock off at the back, and to be honest, they're pretty much bulletproof, these things. So
I think if you were stuck on H&S, I think I'd save the money over the Ultra and go for a Evolution.
Yes.
And just go with 0.2 Evolution.
Yeah.
That would be the Evolution. Is it the silver line with the locky?
Yeah, so if you get the
that's
difference
what
between the
silver
normal
line,
Evolution and the silver line is it's got the lock off at the back.
Yeah, I never use my 0.4 needle. It just puts out too much paint. You empty your colour cup in half a second. It's just too much. A 0.4 for me, especially if you're doing 72 stuff. Assuming when you mean 72, you mean small stuff like this.
Yeah.
I think a 0.1. So if you step away from the 2-in-1, which will have 2 needles and nozzles, go for a silver line with just a 0.2.
Yes.
Probably not that much difference in price.
No.
I don't think the 0.4 is that useful.
No, I think the 0.4 just get, especially if you're a 72nd modeler, the 0.4 is going to be a bit heavy. So yes.
I used this one today for the first time in about a year.
Crikey, did it work?
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that because I've been using mine a lot recently as well, only because I can't be bothered. I've got colour in my other one, so I must admit I have been using this one, and I did give it a birthday and give it a clean out because my needle was absolutely in there, locked, solid. Anyway, squirted WD-40, it's good to go again.
On the forum, we've got the discount for the airbrush company, haven't we?
Yes.
It's all the H&S stuff. I think you get 10% off, or is it 15? I can't remember. So there is a discount.
Yeah, there's a discount code on there, so you do get your 10% off on that one.
Which again might help if you're going to go the harder and Steenbeck. But the problem with these is the nozzles. But have they fixed them? I don't know. I've still got one of the old ones.
Yeah, to be honest, I have. I'm still on the old sets for needles. Got a load in the cupboard. So, but the thing is, like we've always said, airbrushes are like cars. You're going to get, if I will tell you go for that, somebody else will tell you to go for a Iwata, somebody else say go for a Badger. It's a little bit personal choice on that one.
You never know. One day we might be able to get these back in, but we kept stripping the supplier out of them all the time, didn't we?
I'd say that was our biggest problem. We can't get them because we put in an order and then that's it. And it's like, we had like a pre-order for God knows how many, and I think we got 5 came in, and it was like, brilliant. Who gets the 5? It's like a lottery. So, yes. Okay, Ali says, evening team. Below is my first, which is a very nice one. Let me go full screen because it's lovely. Is my first build for my little boy. He's pleased with it. I'm sure he would be. His little boy? Crikey.
I'd be pleased with that.
I'd be pleased with that, yeah. With his little tank. And now it insists I finish off 5 figures included in the set. I'm clueless on how to approach figure painting. Is it airbrush or brush? Oh my lord, we've got the wrong person here tonight. Do I use water or solvent-based paint, acrylics? What will give the best chance for decent results? Please help. Well, I'm sorry, but the man we need to speak to is not here.
Is that 72 scale?
I'm about to say it's 72, isn't it? Looking at the...
yeah, I think it is because of the...
That's a Tamiya matte, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got one of them.
Yeah.
First of all, brilliant work. Be very, very pleased. Yes, definitely, because that's absolutely that's fantastic. I love the weathering on it. Very, very nice indeed. Painting wise, I must admit, I'm not a figure painter. I am going to do my little man though, purely because you can't see his face. He's wearing goggles, so that'll be easier. But I think what it is just be a case literally of going down, like Matt would always say, with your oils and doing it and Gen 3s and all of that, isn't it? seem to be the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'd use water-based acrylics rather than solvent-based acrylics because like things like Tamiya, you end up like dragging it back off again. Vallejo is definitely better for doing that sort of job. And at 10 seconds ago, I won't get hung over by the face. I mean, don't try and put eyes and things in white. Just go over with once it's all dry, just use a brown pin wash or whatever, just so it shadows the lights, the eyes and the mouth and what have you. You get like a nice little effect.
I think for 72 scale figures, I've had Citadel paints.
Yeah, Citadel paints are perfect. Yeah, because they're
because their figures are they're bigger, aren't they? But
yeah,
I'd be looking at.
Yeah, but Vallejo model color or even model A, you could use, or Phil's got the new Gen 3 paints that he's going to show us how to paint a figure soon.
No, he's sending these to Matt, and Matt can show us how well they work, because there's no point giving them to me because I haven't got a clue. But what I might do is just have a play with, see how airbrush is though, because everyone says he's airbrush lovely, and I'd like to have a quick whiz with that. But what I will do, I'm going to pop these into the post to Matt. I've got a couple of sets down here, and I'm going to send them up to Matt, and he's going to have an extensive on test with them. Is he still watching, or has he gone to bed? So
still be on till 10.
He'll be back with a detailed review that Andy would have edited heavily. All about them and see how they work. But to be honest, we've got a few sets in and various bits and pieces for us to do a load of testing before we commit. I know all the rest of it. So we do a bit of testing with them, see how they airbrush, see how they work. Matt obviously can have a go with painting with them and everything else. We are going to stock them, I think. It's just I want to be totally sure. So we've got a few in just to have a look at.
But with those, I just use your Africa core colour. Bit of buff just to get the highlights, of the where the highlights are. Something a little bit darker to get the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Paint your webbing and what have you in the equipment, and then say just a bit of a darkish oil, maybe just to dab in, just to let it flow into the mouth and things, and you should get something looking half decent.
So the problem is if that is 72nd.
Yeah.
That's easy. That's easy in 7 seconds. Just doing that, it's just like a bit of a dry brush and a bit of shadows and everything. You should have problems with that in 7 seconds.
Yeah, be fine.
I couldn't do that in 7 seconds.
Yeah, Matt's actually too. Fine problem at all. Okay, John says, "Hi Phil and team. I saw this earlier. And I can't believe this. This is like really weird. Anyone got a suggestion that I'd fix this problem? It's like buy another kit. Jesus. So anyway, the problem he's got is this small gap." I'll tell you what, I'm going to take it back about any gaps on kits before, because he says it's supposed to go together like this. And then, obviously, so he's got this section is in the correct position because of this back bit here. But obviously this doesn't go forward anyway because it doesn't align.
That's awful, isn't it?
So I'm like, how would you go about fixing it? Honestly, I wouldn't, short of recutting this at the top and just fudging this in, as in like cut this edge off here and then just bring this all forward. And yes, I know it's not correct to the back, but hey, it's better to have this here than that. I don't know. Yeah. Is it convertible? Is it supposed to slide all the way back?
I don't know.
But yeah, the instructions are slightly vague, as we can see.
I'd definitely take the black bit towards the clear.
Yes.
Because you don't want to do any work in the area where the clear plastic is, because you're going to be... But you basically got to scratch build a plug for it, haven't you, otherwise?
Yeah, I was going to say, really, all you're going to try and do, isn't it, is put perhaps a clear part into here to bring this over. Then you've got to sort it. I would actually reshape this top so this bit slides in. Because obviously this profile is correct, isn't it? But obviously something's wrong here. So this just needs to come through, or cut this back so it slides in. I'm not sure, but whichever way it is, that's awful. But I think it's probably
on that black piece, looks like the roof goes almost straight across. Whereas on the actual front bit, the white bit,
it's curved in, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the suggestion in the forum is boats have an awful lot of tarp on them, don't they?
What, just put a tarp right over it? But I think personally, I would just cut this and then just bring this forward into it, or you take that bit off and then, you know, obviously angle it this way so it slides in.
If you move the black bit forward, you could always do some scratch building or on the other end of the black bit.
Yes.
Just try and do as less work near the clear parts as I could.
Yeah, because if you wanted to, in theory, you could bring this forward, take care of that, and then add a bit on here. It'd be a damn sight easier than trying to do something in here.
Yeah.
So...
It's like off two different kits, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But the instructions are a bit vague. It's like he points out. They're sort of, yeah, look, it's just them, and you put the portholes in, and then it just goes together.
Yeah. So it fits where it touches, doesn't it?
Or not. So, yeah, that's definitely a little bit weird on that one. When I saw that earlier, I was like, my word, that's probably the ultimate. Right, okay, 2 to go, then we're out of here because we're running over. Dave says, hi team, Attacker Orange Line lacquer paints. What would you use to thin these paints and what percentage to paint to thinner? Lacquers. Obviously, any type of lacquer you like. So rapid types, their own type works very well, clearly. But lacquer thinners, obviously it's a lacquer paint, so you want to be doing it that. Thinning wise, I personally would say 50-50 and above. So literally, I usually paint at 60-40 with Attacker. So that's 60% thinners, 40% paint. It's got great coverage. You shouldn't have a problem with it and you're good to go. But if it's your first time, go 50-50 and then you can add a little bit more thinners if you think it's a bit thick coming out and stuff. Or if your airbrush is struggling, just give it a little bit more thinners and away you go. But again, like we said many, many times, the reason we stock these paints and we do them, they're very easy to use. You don't need some, you know, magical alchemy going on to make them work. As long as you're in the rough ballpark, they will spray, they will go down lovely, and you won't have a problem with them. Peter says, hi team, thanks for the show. Hope all is well. Question for Matt. He's not here. What sort of thinners would work best for thinning automotive paint? Oh, I did ask him this one. From a paint stick. So basically, I'll paraphrase here. He's doing a touch-up on his own car and wants to use his airbrush for doing it, about doing the thinners and all the rest of it, which one works and all those types of things. What did he say? I can't remember. I've forgotten.
I can't remember what he said.
No, anyone remember what he said? Because I asked him, I said, what would you do?
Did he actually say?
I don't know, actually. I think we got sidetracked.
Didn't he just say he just used to thin it with stuff and never really read the instructions?
Yeah, let's see what it was. To be fair, I mean, I've got some car lacquer thinners in my cupboard here, which is what I know he used to use that for thinning car automotive paint. So I just use a lacquer thinners.
Is it those touch-up sticks? I mean, I'd have a go with rapid thinners.
Yeah.
Or leveling thinners, because see what I do it in like a colour, like disposable cup. Just play around with it and see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just try a bit and see what it works with. But I'm sure
the only thing I will say, if you're going to be airbrushing a chip, it's going to be a very thin coat of paint, so you're going to see the chip because you're going to get the divot of where it is. Because
that's the idea with the pens, isn't it? Because they're quite thick.
Yeah, it fills in the. That's what I was going to say. Because to be honest, I've got like a dark gunchip silver or gunmetal silver they call it on mine, and I've got a couple of whacking great ones on the leading edge of my bonnet now. And I thought about getting them in and doing it, but as I say, they're quite thick. So I think if you used to spray them, you're still going to see them in there. So it does need a touch-up stick to almost fill the hole, and then let it go like that. Because otherwise, if you're spraying it, I know that my other half clunked a mirror on her old car, and I ended up respraying the mirror with my airbrush. But I sanded it all down because it had taken it right back to the paint. So I sanded it and blended it to then get it all to go in, and actually it worked amazingly. And so yeah, but again, if you were trying to not blend it, I think you'd notice it quite easily. So in some ways, a touch-up stick being a thicker paint is probably a good idea just for touching and going literally just to fill the chip rather than blowing in an area. So yes. And what have we got? Joe has got a very nice Sputnik. Crikey, just found this. Looks like a fun build for the Space Collection. Something a little bit different. Very nice. Cool. Okay, last two questions. Roland says, hey, modelling making Masters of the Universe. Right, who gets to, which is was it Masters of the Universe where you had the cat? Or was that somebody else?
And that one with the skeleton and the
Yeah, Skeletor. Yeah, he had the cat which turned into the tiger, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one.
Blast from the past. Jeez.
Right. Okay. What I'd like to know is how you would handle photo etch panels on aircraft models. The instructions only show on which place that the model is onto. I've had this question before, and it is quite a good one actually. But how would you put it on? Just glue it onto the plastic surface, scrape a small layer of the plastic away so it fits in the recess, cut away the plastic completely and replace it with the photo panel. So this question actually came up a few years ago. We were talking about phantoms, and obviously the access panels, some of them are slightly raised up. And the great thing was one of our members used to work on phantoms a lot with the Navy. And it turns out what happens is that they put like a Bondo underneath the panel and they don't always scrape it away between fittings. So it builds up. So the panels sit proud. So that's what can happen on some access panels. They're always slightly higher than the aircraft skin. They're not flush around it. So he was saying just putting them just down onto it wouldn't be a problem onto the surface. But I know what you're getting at, because in theory, if you just put the photo etch on, you've got a step where it is, where it should be flush with it. But like this was pointed out that a lot of the time that sort of stuff they put around them raises them up a little bit. So they're always slightly raised anyway for access panels and stuff like that. And photo etch, I know we were said before, the scale effect, it is quite thick. It'd probably be 1 inch thick, which it wouldn't be that much in real life. But with modeling, it's one of those things, you know, it's just because of the scale effect and the scales we deal in, you can't get photo etch that thin. So personally, I just stick it to the surface and just make sure it's properly down all the way. And the best way of doing that is to super glue it down and then use a debonder around it to clean up any super glue that gets squished out the sides. And then that way it's perfectly put on. And it gives a little bit more 3D depth to the surface as well. So, yeah.
I think like when you did your 30-second 8111.
Yeah, that was covered in them, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was all the, and say there's no way of really making them recessed, is there? So that it's flush. Yeah, the only way you can do something like that is to put them on top. But you don't notice that, do you, by the time you've done it?
No, you didn't really notice it on that one.
A couple of layers of paint and some primer or what have you.
Because the Heinz got it all over it as well. The Heinz got those panels literally stuck to it all over the place. You don't notice it once it's on, and because of the scale type of effect, when it's got washes and stuff like that, that sort of the shadow, if you get, because it's slightly raised, looks like a panel line around it anyway. So I really wouldn't worry about it. I think it's one of those things where you can get caught up in the idea of it and trying to make it right. But let's face it, you can probably make it a lot worse. If you get, start scraping away at it, you scrape too far to the sides, it's going to be a bit messy. And if you try and do it from cutting out the panel and replacing it with a photo etch, trying to get it to the correct level right the way across is going to be very, very hard to do. So personally, I think it's one of those ones, don't overthink it, just stick it down onto it, because it will look good in the end. And by the time perhaps you've done any weathering with it, it will blend in, you won't have a problem. Okay, last question, and it's from Roland. He says, hi team, not a question, just a recommendation regarding setting solutions. Sometimes microsol does not do the job. In this case, I'm using this is the Walters solvent setting solution. Crikey, my eyes aren't that good. Was that 904-479? It hammers down everything. Never had a decal that resisted this miracle solution.
It's
there we
glue,
go.
Isn't it? Solvent.
Yeah.
It's Tamiya extra.
Solver set. Yeah, that's it.
I don't think that's available in the UK.
I've not heard of that.
Well, he's in Vienna, so yeah. So Walther's solvent or solver set, sorry.
Does it say it's made of?
Makes decals. Oh yeah, snuggle down into every crevice. Ooh.
I wonder if it's a bit like that. Did you get some stuff from Poland?
Yeah, I've got my Ajima Hypersol, which is I call alien blood. It's lethal. So don't forget, the trouble with setting solutions, you can go too far, because if it is too hot a product, I've had the Ajima Hypersol stuff melt decals to nothing. You know, I did it on some little placard stuff and it ate the decal. They just disappeared. So if you're using thin decals, you have to be careful. Like we were talking about earlier about very thin decals, like on the X15, there's no way I would have used that with it because literally you brush it on and you watch them dissolve before your eyes. So you can go a little bit too much on very thin decals. So just be wary of that. So yes, good job. Right, and that is about it. We're all done. Good questions today, guys. There you go. Dirk's put up a link for Solver Set down in there. Apparently it's from the US. It is available in the UK via eBay. There you go. They're on top form in the actual forum. Good job, guys. Sorted. We all done, did?
Yep.
Nothing else we need to do? We all sorted? Good, good, good. Right, well, we'll be with you tomorrow afternoon for the TFI Friday show. We'll be live from you across all the airways from 3 o'clock till 5, so if you want to join us for that one. We'll have part 1 of the Zero will be up with you tomorrow as well, so you can get started and follow into that one. I'll be making my way on, see if we can get the engine work done tomorrow, which will be nice, and then hopefully the cockpit and the various bits will turn up, so I can get on with that next week. So yes, so watch this space. So if we're all done then, guys, we'll call it quits right there. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's an absolute pleasure as always. Remember, keep safe, keep washing your hands, get your jabs if you haven't had them already, and we will see you all again very, very soon. Say good night, gentlemen, because we are out of here.
Bye.
Bye.